to present to you. So without ado, I'll start by talking a little bit about the vowels, what I got out of them. For my study, I did a formant analysis and decided to do an acoustic analysis using the data our consultant provided for us, using a program called PRAT, which provides spectrograms, which is that picture you see there, that allows me to look at her speech and pretty much isolates and parts of the speech and allow me to obtain frequency values from the speech and her formant data. So from here we go into the basic vowels of Motu. They include the standard set A, E, I, O, U, and also the sixth one, the schwa, on the end. The first five vowels are present in the majority of oceanic languages, while the schwa has only been really reported in some languages of Papua New Guinea and in Vanuatu. The schwa is the vowel that you hear kind of in the middle when you say or make the sound. Some of the basic vowels also have length differences. For example, in the word lababa, they're both A vowels, but the second one tends to be longer than the first or third one. We still haven't determined, though, whether this difference is yet meaningful or whether those are meaningful linguistic units on their own. To find this out, we still need to identify minimal pairs in the language. So what are minimal pairs? Minimal pairs are words that differ in only one phonetic quality. So in English, an example would be bat and pat, which form a minimal pair because just the first letter changes. We used minimal pairs to test alongside other in-depth criteria to determine whether linguistic units are meaningful or not on their own, and whether they form their own phonemes. Some possible examples in Motu that we looked at were kiri for laugh and kori for bite, which could form a minimal pair, but we haven't quite determined yet. And also tau for man and toi for three has also been confirmed as a minimal pair, and that includes diphthongs. The vowels in the second example there are known as diphthongs because they change in quality over the duration of the vowel. So it goes from, for that first one, tau, goes from like an A to a U sound. But yeah. Prior studies have reported many diphthongs present in Motu already, those ones listed there. The second minimal pair example was the two diphthongs that suggest each of those might be meaningful on their own, but we're still looking for more examples in the general language to really determine the rest of them, I guess. If anyone can think of any, feel free to throw up some examples. We're really pushing for more more words there. A reduction process that often occurs in the question words, as Jen will talk about, is also present, that results in a diphthong being produced. For example, in the word kahi kahi for near, the H is often reduced and it gets pronounced as kai kai. To spot this, we asked Raho to actually clap out the syllables for words. First, the way it was pronounced in full, so kahi, kahi, and then the way to be used in conversational, so if she sped it up, and then it comes to can come to kai kai, so just two syllables. I actually added an extra slide there, but the use of these techniques in our listening sessions, as well as some pretty interesting kind of material written up by Emily and some of the others, helped to really, some animal-related narratives and stuff, helped to really make our listening sessions a bit more interesting, and I think it broke up the monotony a bit for Raho, so that was pretty good. Just the final bit, some acknowledgements. To our language consultant, Raho, who's been engaged and enthusiastic despite some of our long elicitation sessions. To Raho's mother, who's been just as enthusiastic and, from what I hear, pretty helpful in keeping Raho on point with her data. To Heidi Quinn, our awesome course coordinator, who's always brimming with enthusiasm. And to the rest of you guys, Sydney, Emily, Nikita, and Janai. It's been a good year. That's the end of mine.
Daddy. Any comments? We sound it's heavy to take comments.
Minimal pairs, I need them. Here we go.
Can you pronounce this as well? Is it just
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah. It's basically in English it sometimes replaces a in words like ago. It's that just that sound, or that happens on the end of words like that end in er. So if you get words like player or thing like tends to be an Yeah. So I can prove you guys need. Right on. Somebody else wants to take the stand. Cheers, guys.
No, actually, do you guys want to go?
No, fine.
Go ahead. Huh? Yeah, you did. Yeah. Oh, that's a template. What? So yeah, hi, my name's Sydney. Yeah, so kia ora. So the aspect of Motu that I'm investigating are the adjective class in Motu. That's my little project. So I'll just first begin by briefly discussing some main points, so from the literature of adjectives, and there's quite a bit, but it's where I've just put it down into one slide. So generally, the adjective class is problematic for field linguists because it's the function of the words are hard to define. So some linguists suggest that the adjective class does not even exist at all in different languages, and they argue that the functions of adjectives can be substituted for nouns and verbs. So yeah, in table 1, so like down here we can see that sort of the adjective class floats in between the noun and the verbs. And yeah, adjectives, or the subset of property words as they like to call it, can function as attributive, where you can see that strong sort of modifies man, or it can be predicative, where man equals strong. And also it has been found that in oceanic languages, if an adjective class does exist at all, it is a small closed set of uninflected words, so pretty much it'll be a standalone word. Let's quickly talk about methodology. So yeah, so we used a Tascam voice recorder, so we got Rahu to in many cases, we got her to read sentences and translate sentences. We went through a word list, so to get 200 or so basic words. And then, yeah, and also we had we tried doing PowerPoints, running stories and stuff, and that was quite interesting. We didn't get a chance to back translate though, so writing our own sentences in Motu and try and translate it back, but that could be something we could do in the future. So to look at adjectives, the first thing that we have to do is actually differentiate them from other classes of words. So we had to look at them, so differentiate them from nouns, verbs, and adverbs. So as you can see in the first sentence, so the dog is quick. So it's Sia Be Haraga. And the second sentence, the dog runs quickly. So Haraga, quick. Here can be attributive, so the dog equals quick, or quick is an adverb, so it modifies the verb. And also other sentences like sentence number 3 and 4, so happy, so moale, here it can be, so I can be happy, so I am happy, and also your happiness, so moale can also be a noun in the sense. Any questions? Makes sense? So the questions that I wanted to explore were the semantics. So I was looking at about adjectives. I'm not going to go through all of these. I'm only going to talk about 2. But the concepts that I want to explore in adjectives is look at the semantics. So what type of adjectives there are. So morphological properties. So how we can change the word. So how like in English we can say dog or dogs. So in the case of Motu, you can put na or dia after some adjectives, and we'll discuss that later. And syntactic properties where we place the adjective in the noun phrase, so that's how it modifies the noun. And also the ordering, so in English we can say a long slim yellow banana, but we can't say a yellow slim long banana. In Motu there's also restrictions, but we'll explore that more as well. And then as you can see, there's more morphological properties that I want to explore, like comparatives and also comparisons, so A comparing with B. But yeah, so again, due to time restrictions, I'll only go through two main findings, which is also, so the findings are also displayed in the poster on that wall. So in sentence one, so it's a really good example of two adjectives. So here, Clifford is a happy red dog. So Clifford bears Cecilia. You can see the first adjective red, so kaka na, and bona moale na, so that's happy and red. So we can see that in the first sentence that there's clear adjectives that they're modifying, so they're modifying the noun Cecilia dog, and that they can be conjoined with a conjunction bona. And also we can see that, so the case marker na, that also occurs with nouns, which is really interesting. So what this means is that, so in some cases, adjectives actually are more noun-like. So in terms of like whether they're more similar to verbs or they belong to their own adjective class, adjectives in Motu are very similar to nouns. So you can see here the two noun-like adjectives are modifying the noun dog. And also, yeah, as I said, is that you can so you can use a conjunction bona to say if you have three or more adjectives, you can just say, you know, adjective bona, and just keep going, as well as just sticking them together. Yeah. And then also the second example, so that's the second finding, so a pretty strong finding is about comparison. So adjectives in Motu, they're not inflected for degree, so in English we can say longer and longest, but in Motu you can only, you can't say moale ist or moale So here, if you want to do a comparison, as we'll do in English, saying, oh, you are happier than me, they would put two sentences and they'll juxtapose them next to each other. So here, oi e mu moale e bada, so like, your happiness is big, lauegu be maragi, so mine is small. So it's trying to say, you are happier than me. Also, but yeah, we can also express degree in Motu, so we can put the adverb area, which occurs after the adjective. So how they're structured is that you have the noun, adjective, and adverb. So if I want to say that I'm a very red dog, you can say, so it will be Cecilia ka hairier. Is that right? Yeah. So yeah, again, sentence 2 is a good example where the word moale, so happy, is nominalised, so it's become more noun-like. So it strengthens the argument that adjectives in Motu are more like nouns than they are like verbs, as we would see in other languages. And yeah. So yeah, this is pretty much the end of my presentation. So there are ongoing questions. So I don't know if there are any Motu speakers here as well as Raho, but based on the previous literature, the suffix na and dia, that can be put, you know, we can place it after some adjectives, but then we can't for other ones. So I just thought, like, are there any Motu speakers here, like, who would like to run a quick experiment?
It never ends.
Yeah. Do you want to, Raho? No, but anyway, but you can see here, so like there are more examples that I could put up, but sometimes you can put so na and dia after adjectives, but in some cases you can't, and I think that would be a really interesting thing to explore, just to see like what restrictions there are in Motu in terms of how you can inflect an adjective. So yeah, so this really ends my section of my talk, where I just briefly touch upon the potential adjective class in Motu. So so acknowledgements. I'd like to thank Raho for putting up with us and our sentences, the Pacific Development Team for hosting this event, Heidi for taking LING407, and classmates, and thank you for listening. If you have any questions, just feel free to flick me an email. Cool.
Smart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, just about the deer, how it's the suffix. Like sometimes it can be used as a prefix instead. Like
Oh, really?
yeah, like deer namo.
Dear Lamo.
Namo.
Dear Namo. Yeah, because we haven't seen any, but that would be really cool to look at, like, if you can put it before, after, or if it's there or not, Yeah, cool. Awesome. Any questions? No, all good. I'm done. Sweet. Cheers. Thank you.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Good improvisation. Good improvisation.
Okay. So my name is Nikita, and the topic I looked at was add positions in Motu. So the first question would be, what are add positions? They are basically add position is just an umbrella term for prepositions as well as postpositions. We all know what prepositions are. So postpositions are basically this similar sort of thing, except that where in prepositions it's before the noun, like inside the house, as I have given the example, and postpositions are usually after the noun. So that's Ruma Lalonai, where inside means Lalonai. So it's after the noun. The Motu mostly has postpositions. So usually the postpositions, they come after the noun and mostly at the end of the sentence. So how did I elicit the data? So it was basically the basic postpositions like on, in, etc. I just used cat photos. I like those. Yeah, it was pretty much all fun to do. Heidi did suggest that I bring an actual box and a toy cat to do this, but unfortunately I didn't have a toy cat, and the cat roaming around near my apartments just refused to be caught by me. So I had to make do with slides and cat photos. Yeah, so basically it's something like the cat is inside the box, the cat is outside the box is on the cat, and cat is in front of the box. So that was my initial elicitation, after which another thing was all of us sort of made like short stories. An example is here, just to make you realize what Raho had to go through. So yeah, it's basically just 2 sentences I asked her in my 3rd or 4th elicitation, somewhere there. And the next thing was sort of reverse back translation, which Sydney talked about. This was at the very much later stage. So what I basically did was make a sentence in Motu and then ask Raho to sort of translate it into English to see whether I'm on the right track. And usually it was something like this, but we did manage to get a lot of data. Yeah, that's basically me on the left and Raho on the right. But yeah, I did manage to get a lot of data because of that. I found out some words which were very much outdated and some words which were just not natural in the language. So what I did in my project was first updating the existing data, because the existing research is very old, nearly 50 to 60 years old, and there was a lot of stuff to be updated over there. Next one was, removing all those weird sounding words which just didn't fit in today's vocabulary. And the third part was to just try to find any interesting things in there. So I'll be talking about the third part mainly because other two are just not interesting enough. Okay, so the first thing was compound postpositions. So compound postpositions are basically when you have a basic postposition and you add stuff in there. So mostly it works like this, where I is like a very basic postposition, and you add stuff like noun and a personal suffix in there. A few examples I have put in over there. So one example is something like henunai, which means under. So that's henu plus na plus I. But then there were some exceptions, basically a lot of exceptions. So some of them were like no personal suffixes were used, like murimuriai, which is outside. It's just murimuri plus I. There is no na or any other personal suffix over there. And something like this, where there is just no suffix or any basic postposition over there. Okay, so another thing was the two ways of saying one thing. So the example I have given here is the cat is near the box, which is kito be maua kai kai. This could also be said something like the cat and box is near. So in the first example, you could see that I'm talking about the cat in relation to the box. So where is cat in relation to the box, which is near the box? Another one is what is the relation between the two things, that is the cat and the box, which is they are near each other. Okay, and this is, there are like very few instances where there were prepositions instead of postpositions, which is an unusual thing because Motu usually has only postpositions. So something like this. Kito be atai gadara gauna. Gadara gauna is the toy. Kito is the cat. Atai is above. So the cat is above the toy. This was what I found, which was atai is in between rather than at the end, as I said before. The expected was something like this. Yeah, so SOV is basically a subject, object, verb, which is the word order of the sentence. Because the language is subject, object, word, it is expected that you find postpositions rather than prepositions. And that's why it should have been something like kito be gadaragauna atai, which means atai should be like at the end, but I found it near the beginning. So yeah, that's something interesting according to me. Yeah, so that's basically it. Yep, that's all I have done. And yeah, a very warm thank you to Rahul for all the reasons I have mentioned before, and Heidi, and also my classmates, and you, of course, for listening for me for however many minutes I talked. Any questions?
Do you find as I'm assuming you speak, correct me if I'm wrong, Indian?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you find that speaking your own language, it was easy to do this, to do Motu, to be able to pick up on the words, be able to speak it, be able to understand it?
Actually, I don't know whether that's relevant, but I did when we elicited stuff from Rahul, what I usually did was write stuff in Hindi. Like the writing system is called Devanagari. I sort of wrote it in there so that it's easier for me to kind of recollect later on what exactly she had said. Yeah, but then actually, as a language, I don't think it was a big influence for understanding Motu as such. Anything else? Thank you.
Up to you.
Mine's a little bit different. It's a lot more casual. I don't have a slide prepared.
Don't forget to explain your name.
Yes. How do I open it? Sydney. How do I open the stick?
Windows Explorer.
Windows, I know, I'm such a Mac.
That's right.
Learn to use Windows.
No.
Oh shit, wrong one. Oh,
What are you doing? What are you doing?
I know, I'm just gonna... That one?
Both. It's supposed to be blank. Okay. No. Yeah. It's not very big, is it? Let's. Can I zoom? No. Down here. Cool. So I just thought I would run through to make it easier. I'll just see that. Yeah. So this is. Zoom. No. So I'm being a little bit lazy and just using the poster, but it's good. Yeah. So I did verbs. So we will get this in a second. Is it that one? Yeah, it's cool. So my name is Esther, which is a semi-recent change, so I'm also known as Emily. So it's a little bit confusing, I'm sorry. So I was looking at verbs. And so just really quickly, I don't want to assume that you don't know what a verb is, but I'll just run through it so it makes it a little bit easier terminology for me to explain what I was studying. So in terms of a verb, verbs are your words like eat, run, walk. So I'll just use walk. It's very obvious. So when you put it in a sentence, you have to add a subject. You can't just say walk because you don't know who walked. So you'd say like I walk or they walk. But for example, if you want to say she walk, you can't say she walk, you have to say she walks. And so as you can see there between the she and the they and even the I, you've got this difference with the addition of the S. And so what this is that in English, one of the ways you can mark these verbs is by the number. So you've got they, which is a plural, you've got I, which is a singular, and you've got she, which is also a singular, but it's different than they, for example. The other thing is that with these, they refers to, for example, like they, so more than two, whereas she refers to just one, and I refers to one. So it's the number between the singular and plural. I think I just said that, but anyway. Subject, oh my gosh. Right. Within English, of course, we also get tenses. So you've got she walked, you've got she will walk. So she walked yesterday, so she's done it before. She will walk, she'll walk tomorrow. I know this is super basic and you do not, but it'll just help a little bit. And so these are different ways we can mark verbs in English, and we can also mark them in Motu, but they're slightly different in Motu. So in Motu here, what we've got is before the verb, we have this thing called a subject particle. Now a subject particle is before the verb, and basically it denotes the person. So first person is like I, second person you, third person he, or she, and then it does that in singular and plural. So the plural, for example, would be they, and the singular she. And so, for example, as you can see here, we've got these different particles. So the P there refers to the previous literature. So this is what was found in the previous